Hi, everyone. There seems to be a break in a 35-year-old cold case that is circling the media today. And this right here is Justin Lee Turner. He went missing in 1989. I'm going to pull up his, he went missing, was found, and his case seems to be solved after all this time. Let's see. This was his father back on March 5th of 89, moments after he seemingly by child son in a camper. Justin Lee Turner had been missing for 2 days on the morning of March 5th, 1989, when sheriff deputies and volunteers combed his parents' property and the surrounding area in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, for any sign of the 5-year-old boy. A local TV station covering the search filmed his father opening his Delray pickup truck camper that day. Oh, they got it on video. Moments later, he hurried back out. My son's in there, Victor Lee Turner said in a strained voice as he emerged. You know, they always say that when the person who finds the body is always like one of the first suspects. Turner then was 34 years old, retreated to a nearby wood deck, sat down, buried his head in his hands, and appeared to sob. So that's what he's doing here. In the nearly 35 years that followed, Justin's death went unsolved, but on Wednesday, authorities announced that they had charged the boy's father and stepmother with the murder, accusing them both of strangling the boy, hiding his body in the camper, and then pretending to find it as Berkeley County Sheriff's deputies and volunteers answered their pleas to help them find the missing child. Gosh, I can't think of a more tragic, horrendous murder. 5-year-old boy, Sheriff Dwayne Lewis said Wednesday at the news conference. They do have attorneys. They're now, he and his new wife, Megan Renee Turner, who would have been the stepmother, she's 63 years old, and the father is now 69 years old. They did not immediately respond Friday for comments. I'm getting this off the Washington Post, which I guess y'all can see that. You could see that. Ooh, let's see. We're gonna watch. I mean, this is just. Look at that little guy. By his own father. I wonder where the mother was. Let's go back to the history of it. On March 3rd, 1989, Turner and his wife reported to the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office that Justin never got off the afternoon school bus. Normally, the stepmother, Megan Turner, watched Justin leave the house or get on the bus, but that Friday she told investigators that she was taking a shower when he left for the day because she hadn't been feeling well. Witnesses contradicted the Turners. They told investigators that Justin never got on the bus that morning and was absent from Whitesville Elementary School the entire day. He never got on the bus because he was dead inside that house, Lewis said at the news conference. On the morning of the search, witnesses saw Turner wringing his hands as he nervously asked law enforcement officials about the consequences a family member would face if they had harmed or killed Justin. This was all in a sworn affidavit, adding that Turner seemed to have an apparent awareness of the boy's fate before his body had been found. It sounds to me as if the cops probably knew all this time that he was involved and they just didn't have what they needed to lock down the charges. They recorded Turner entering the camper to look for his son. A station employee saw him allegedly open cabinets and drawers. I can't say it. And drawers before finding the Justin's body within seconds of going inside of it. Okay, let's watch this. Look at this, guys. They probably had him pinned from day one. In his affidavit, they described Turner's search as feigned. He knew exactly where Justin was located, the detective added. That is horrible. Just horrible. But investigators never quite had enough evidence to make their case. Lewis said at the news conference at some points Megan Turner was charged in connection with Justin's death, but the case was dismissed. Oh, so they knew they were onto him. The couple moved away. Megan changed her name to Pamela, and the investigators never heard from them again. I've never gotten one phone call from his daddy or his stepmother. What are y'all doing about my son's death? Not one. What does that tell you? On April 2021, investigators reviewed and revived what had become a cold case. Physical evidence collected from the crime scene in 1989 was reevaluated and submitted to forensic pathologists. With new technology, they were able to determine that the fibers found in the Turner's house matched ones in the wounds on Justin's neck and on the clothes he was wearing. That's them today. They got to live a full life. 34 years, 35 years. Lewis said that throughout the investigation, he kept thinking about the 5-year-old boy who never got to grow up. Today, Justin would have been 40 years old. He could have graduated high school, went to college, got married, had a child, been a productive citizen, but he wasn't because we believe these two people took that away from all of us. For that, one responsible should be punished. Justin's cousin, who was 8 years old when the boy died, said, "They've had their freedom for 34 years while our family has suffered," she said at the news conference, "and they don't deserve another day from behind those bars." So let's watch this news conference. Pull it up.
Yesterday, January 9th at 10 a.m., detectives from the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office was able to arrest and take into custody Victor Lee Turner and Pamela Turner, also known as Megan Turner. They were taken into custody at their home, which is located in Cross Hill, South Carolina, which is in Lawrence County. Lawrence County Sheriff's Office assisted us with the arrest. They have been transported back to the Berkeley County Jail. They are incarcerated at this time, and they are awaiting a bond hearing. The bond hearing is scheduled for 6:30 today, and we don't know what the outcome of that will be as of yet. So to recap a little bit, this is an amazing day. It's a day that a lot of people that have since left us have been waiting for, and a lot of people that are here today. Um, 34 years ago, that's a long time. It's a long time. But if any of you remember, most of you do, Justin Turner was reported missing on March 3rd, 1989 at 3:12 p.m. from his home here in Berkeley County. Deputies arrived. James Gathers, first deputy on the scene, um, requested assistance and got help from other deputies and members of the rescue squad, DNR, SLED, fire departments, converged on the area searching for Justin. He's 5 years old at the time. Justin never made it to school that morning. He never got on the bus. He never arrived at school. That's because he had been murdered. And he'd been murdered by his stepmother and his father and left in a camper behind their house. I can't think of a more tragic, horrendous murder. 5-year-old boy. As we looked at this case, and we've been working on this case for on and off for a year and a half straight, but on and off for many years, many sheriffs before me. Um, but I keep going back to Justin. Today, Justin would have been 40 years old. Could have graduated high school, went to college, got married, had a child, been a productive citizen. But he wasn't. Because we believe these two people took that away from all of us and this family, who I have been in contact with over the years. And they have been tremendous in their efforts to keep this case alive and keep pushing us and asking questions and helping us get where we are today. How did we get here? We got here because of some of the people in this room. Because of investigative work, the forensic work that SLED had done, the SLED agents, all the folks involved from the sheriff's office. It is a lot of people that helped put this case together over the years. And I want to thank them. And I'm going to mention their names here shortly. But so we know for a fact that Justin was strangled to death. There was ligature marks on his neck. We recovered what we believe to be the evidence of the murder. We have a lot of forensic evidence. We got here because of new technology in forensic medicine. We all know how things have progressed over the years. And we kept pushing and plugging and pulling to finally get what we needed to make an arrest. Detectives have worked just, I can't say enough about Detective Darrell Lewis and Detective John Plitch. They did an amazing job on this case. And again, a lot of work went into a lot of people. I want to thank SLED agent Jim Barry, Sheriff L.C. Knight's here. He was the SLED agent also on the case. Lieutenant Randy Herod was one of the investigative initial deputies. James Gathers is here. He was the first officer deputy on the scene. Mr. Green is here, and we're glad to see him. Thanks for all your efforts. Lee Clayton was also on the scene. LG Fairclough, who couldn't be with us. Rita Schuler's here. I hope I'm not missing anybody. Tim Braun, I want to thank him from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, have also helped us. Captain Mike Prodan from SLED, the Behavioral Science Unit, helped us tremendously, worked with our detectives a lot on this case. So where do we go from here? So the case will be presented at some point, and we'll move forward. I have to say, I'm hoping and I'm praying that Justin is looking down from heaven, rejoicing that today there's some justice. There's still some justice in this country. And I can't thank y'all enough for being here. I'll entertain some questions, and then a member of the family will also speak as well. So I'll entertain some questions.
Before we do that, excuse me, Bruiser's having a fit, of course. He waits until I start recording to talk. I think he just wants to talk to you guys. He's like a little 5-pound chihuahua. I apologize. He's just pissy all the time. I want to watch something really quick before we will go into the rest of the news conference. Just share this tab.
The early morning fog lent an eerie atmosphere to the search for 5-year-old Justin Lee Turner. The Moncks Corner Elementary student was last seen Friday morning walking to a bus stop. A search through the boy's neighborhood that night turned up nothing, but search crews Sunday were determined.
But just go all the way, cross.
Volunteers combed a large field and rummaged through storage sheds. Then, just 5 minutes into the search, Justin's father looked inside his camper.
Oh, something's in there. Everybody stand back. Everybody stand back.
The search ended here. 5-year-old Justin Turner was dead. As relatives grieved, agents with the State Law Enforcement Division began a day-long investigation, dusting the camper for prints, searching the Turner's home, and trying to open the trunk of one of the old cars parked in the yard.
We got the state crime lab in, and we want to cover all leads and all angles.
Neighbors who knew Justin Turner described him as full of life and happy, but not the kind of kid who'd go off with a stranger. Investigators were not speculating publicly on the nature of Justin Turner's death. Turner's little body was taken to the medical university for an autopsy. The 3-day search is over, but not in a way anyone wanted to see. St. Brian, TV2 Action News Update, Monk's Corner.
3 days. 3 days. They let him sit in there. Okay, let's go back over to the press conference and we'll finish watching that.
Yes.
Sure. You said that the reason why these arrests were ultimately made was due to forensic evidence. Can you provide any additional detail on what specifically tied these two individuals to Justin's death?
Yes, and good point. I'm going to send out the affidavits that outlines everything for you. Everything's in there. But essentially a few things. I mean, we were able to narrow down the time of death with the contents from Justin's stomach that morning. Statements that were made during the initial interview, initial on-scene investigation, all of those things. But we were able to use some forensic testing that we had not had available to us before. And that enabled us to tie in the murder weapon that we believe was used to strangle Justin to clothing and fabric on his clothing at the time of his death. There's a lot of other things that account for it, but that's just a couple of things. Who's next?
When you say new technology, can you kind of elaborate a little bit about what exactly that entails?
Well, and I don't, my SLED lab people aren't here that I can see, but technology's evolving, and in our field, things change to where you can't. In the past, you may not been able to put two things together that you had as evidence, and there's other ways. I'm not a technical forensic person, but I do understand how they got to where we are. But I'll get you an answer to that question from someone that's technical. Yeah.
Have you interviewed them on this arrest? Are they admitting what they've done? What are they saying to detectives?
Nothing. We gave them an opportunity to talk to us, and they had ample time to talk to us in the car on the way from Cross Hill, South Carolina. It was about 3.5 hour drive. Nope, they hadn't talked to us.
So was that what you guys were doing during that ride? Were you continuously trying to question them?
Well, we read them their rights initially when they are arrested, and we give anybody a chance to talk to us, especially on a long car ride. We're hoping that'll generate some talk, but they decided not to talk to us.
This is a huge deal in Berkeley County. This particular case has been something that people have heard about and talked about for many decades. How important has it been for you to try to get this solved?
Well, it's always been very important to me. I lived here. I was working with another police agency when it happened. But I've always known it. I've felt it, and how many people it affected. When you have to go back to 1989 and think about Berkeley County, we were a different place. We were smaller. Everybody kind of knew everybody. and families we all stuck together and had acquaintances and things, people that we knew, and it just went widespread all over, not just Berkeley, but the state and the country. And everybody wanted some justice. And I think, you know, if you look back at some of your old footage, you'll see that it affected a lot of people and it stayed with me. And when I was elected, um, not soon after, Amy called me and said, "Hey, I want to come talk to you." And we sat down and we talked, and we we put people on the case, and we finally got to where we needed to be. And again, those people that are live in Berkeley County now that are not from here, that wasn't here in 1989 or even 1990, you have no idea the impact that this case had on the people, the deputies, the coroner's office, everybody, SLED agents, everybody that was involved in this case. It had a tremendous impact. I talked to one of the SLED agents yesterday. She couldn't be here. This was her first case, and it still affects her today.
Oh, wow, her first case.
Think about it. That was her first case, and it tremendously impacted her.
You talked about the impacts on the SLED officers and your deputies. Are there any deputies still with you who's on the case? And if there are, what does it mean to them? Or what have they said to you to finally be able to put these two people in jail?
Well, you know, I've talked to everybody that's still around, and I'm so sorry that Justin's real mother is not here. 'Cause she suffered tremendously,
Oh, she must have passed away.
and so have a lot of people. I mean, there's some deputies that were here that went to the scene. Um, Everybody kind of felt it. It was a tragedy, and I'm just hoping that we can move forward and that we have done the very best that we can to our ability to solve this case and help this family, and really, 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 at the end of the day, give Justin some justice. Man, how about that? 34 years. That's a long time.
Sheriff, can you talk about the involvement of the Turners in the initial case? Um, I understand that the father was the one to find his body. Can you talk a little bit more about how they were involved in those initial
Yeah, and you know, initially they provided information that you know he didn't get on the he that he got on the school bus and went to school, but never got off of the bus. That was not true. He never got on that bus. He never got on that bus because he was dead inside that house. So there's been a lot of different things and statements made. Um, when you look at the scene, you can assume by looking at it that it was somewhat a staged scene to make it look like something that it wasn't. And all that'll come out. We'll get to all that. But there's a lot of inconsistencies in the story, in the information, in what the deputies, detectives, the SLED agents, DNR agents were told when they first got there to try to piece the thing together.
Do you believe he was killed inside the house and then taken to a camp?
We think so. We think so, yes. You had your hand up, ma'am?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could lay out the timeline a little bit of when this case was kind of picked up and put down throughout the years and how now
Yeah.
it's kind of solved.
So I know Sheriff MC Cannon, his team worked very hard on it. Sheriff Isgett, Osco had, you know, and I'm going through the sheriffs as I knew them. I think at one point even Scotland Yard was involved in this case and had examined it. Um, when Sheriff DeWitt came in, I think John worked on it some then while Sheriff DeWitt was here. And again, it's been renewed, and people were we've always been doing the very best we could do based on the evidence and the technology and the forensic that we had. So it's just thank the good Lord we got to a place where we were able to get enough to make an arrest.
I want to go show you guys the Facebook page that they started, Justice for Justin Lee Turner. I'm gonna look through some of these photos. Okay, so this name's who's at the press conference. So the gentleman over here, let's see, pictured from left to right, Russell Pace is Justin's stepdad. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Unless that's him right there. Okay. Oh, representing the mom. She remarried. Okay, that makes sense. His cousin, Josh Burnett. Let's see. His dad, Carlton Burnett, right there. Justin's mom, Elaine Pace. Okay, so that's Justin's mom's sister, brother, right there. Okay. Amy Parsons. Here, grandmother. All right. His maternal grandmother. And Denise Finley. I don't know. It's hard to tell what they're saying there. Anyway, you can go to the Facebook page if you want to sit there and look at it that long. I wanted to look at some of these pictures. Let's see if we got videos. No videos. Let's look at the photos. Yeah, so we mentioned earlier, she was charged at some point, but why was she charged and he wasn't? They must have had some kind of physical evidence on her. How could a father do that to his own little baby? There's his biological mother, Elaine. So that's him with his two cousins, Josh and Logan Burnett. There was once a little boy named Justin who everyone has come to know. I write the story in hopes that your children will live and grow. Born into his mama's arms, he was loved, nurtured, and grew. He held her hand as he learned to walk far too soon, she knew. Justin was his name, so beautiful and sweet, loved by everyone he would meet. Created by love, then taken by hate, he wasn't the first or the last that will meet this unexplained fate. Like every child, he was innocent and pure, while why this happened to him, we must now endure. He was great, precious, and healthy, and had so much to live for. When he was taken, his laughter was gone forevermore. He had a family who loved him so. Now they ask, why did he have to go? I'll carry you forever, Justin. I love you, Mommy. That's sad. I say they took that out in the newspaper. 89. That was the year I graduated from high school. I wasn't looking at the news and I wasn't looking at true crime back then, so I don't remember this case. Look at those big old blue eyes. Isn't he cute? Can you imagine? And she probably, I wonder if the mother had a sense. Okay, there's his mother at an older age. I bet up until the day she died, she was wanting them to be arrested. They probably knew all this time who did this. And that's amazing. And she probably, I wonder when she died. She never got to see Justice, his own mother. But that's so precious that his stepfather is there on her behalf. His mother's
Clarify a little bit when the two suspects went from providing information to you to being the two suspects that your agency was kind of focusing on leading up to yesterday's arrest?
Yeah, so if you look at the overall, Pamela was arrested at one point and charged. Case was dismissed um, without prejudice, so would enable us to come back again if we had enough evidence. She changed her name. They moved to the upstate, and nobody that I'm aware of from any of the family has ever heard from them again. Isn't that strange? I never got one phone call. One phone call from his daddy or his stepmother. What are y'all doing about my son's death? Not one. What does that tell you?
So Pamela was arrested twice, and Victor, this is the first time that he's been
Yeah.
arrested. And do they have an attorney at this time?
I don't know.
Do you know which one was responsible for the actual killing and which one was an accomplice?
Hand to one, a hand all. When you read the affidavit, you'll see. Yeah, I don't want to get that specific right now. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned that technology was the reason you're able to solve this case. Are you able to talk at all about how that might help you solve other cold cases the department's investigating?
Yeah, good question. We're always looking at new ways of solving problems and cases. As I said, time marches on, things change and things get better. Um, you know, um, this team really painstakingly looks at every unsolved um, murder that we have and apply what we applied in this case to try to move those cases forward. And we've been successful. So I'm gonna let Amy just say your name and come up and say anything you want to say.
I'm Amy Parsons. I am Justin's cousin. Of course, I was only 8 at the time of his murder. I want to thank God first for getting us to this point, and Sheriff Lewis for listening to our cries. From here, all we want is justice, and I want to see our justice system do what it was intended to do and put these two people where they deserve to be, because they've walked for 34 years. They've had freedom for 34 years while our family has suffered, and they don't deserve another day from behind those bars. And I want to thank everybody that has put time in to get us to where we are here. And once again, Sheriff Lewis, I really, truly, we all appreciate what you have done for our family.
She's the one that created the Facebook page.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all.
You can imagine that a lot of this sadness that they're showing here today is from the relationship that they had with his mother. And up until she died, she wondered all these years, is justice ever going to be done for my son? And you could just tell that the family, yeah, they're crying for Justin, but they're probably also crying in the memory of her as well, because they're finally seeing justice be done, and they know that she would have been standing right there with them. It's just sad. It's so sad. Well, looks like they're going to be going to court, you guys. So I'll stay on top of what goes on with this, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully this little guy, God, 34 years. But it had to have been a break in technology that broke this case. It has to have been some kind of DNA thing. Not DNA, but, well, yeah. DNA. All right. So, anyway, thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll stay on top of this for us. Have a good one.